peace of the Lord be with you. Welcome to Pcgtv Sports Time with Jerome. My name is Jerome Ochri. Here we come your way again with another interesting discussion, this time looking within. What do I mean by looking within? We are going to talk about sports within a Presbyterian church. We'll go for a short break. When we come back, I'll introduce my guest and I'll tell you what is up for discussion. Welcome back. For our scripture for today, I'm taking you to Daniel. Daniel chapter 1 verses 8, where it is written, "But Daniel was determined not to defile himself by eating the food and wine given to them by the king. He asked the chief of staff for permission not to eat these unacceptable foods." And here, the Bible tells us about Daniel, how Daniel stood on his grounds and decided not to do things that would defile him and his friends. What does it tell us? We are also supposed not to compromise to the standards of the world, but to stand alone for our faith in Jesus Christ. If there is anything that we have to do as Christians, we must always remember not to be in conformity with the world. This is what this text tells me, and the same message I share with you. We'll go for another break. When we come back, I'll introduce my guest, and the show continues. Welcome back. Today in the studio with us is Mr. Richard Kwesi Ofer from Emmanuel Congregation, Medina. And he's a coordinator, or one of the coordinators of the Emmanuel Presby Church Volleyball Club. You know, the concept of this show is to look at sports from the perspective of a Christian. And it was one exciting news for me when I came across a volleyball team or a volleyball club within the Church of God. And we thought it wise to bring them to the studio and have a conversation with them. And why at all a Presbyterian church will focus on a volleyball team, and not just a volleyball team, but one that also plays in a volleyball league in the Greater Accra region. Mr. Richard Kwesi Ofer, welcome to the studios of Pcgtv.
Thank you, Jerome.
Tell me, why would you abandon the Great Commission and just go and follow volleyball? I know the question is not nice, but I want to put it that way.
Yeah.
The mandate of us Christians is to spread the gospel.
Yeah.
Why would you leave that and play volleyball?
Thank you very much. Very interesting question. And the Great Commission, as directed by the Lord Jesus, was for us to go into the world and make disciples of all nations. Making disciples of all nations go with a lot of strategy and forms. And among them is what we call the sports evangelism. And so there are the crusades and the others. But the sports evangelism we see as one of the most effective ways that we can reach out to the many young people within our community, within our church, who hitherto may not want to come to a crusade ground, but may be wandering around. So the sports evangelism, we think, is also one of the most effective ways that we can propagate the word of God, propagate the good news of our Lord Jesus Christ in a very unique way.
So, I mean, some materials I gathered on you before this show.
Yes.
One of them talks about your vision. And in your vision, I see the 4 E's of IPC. Evangelism, education, empowerment, employment.
Yes.
I think, I mean, the moment you mention evangelism, it comes across quite well. So maybe you wouldn't elaborate on that. But in terms of the education, how are you using, or how do you use volleyball within the church setup to educate people?
So for Medina Emmanuel, the many people who are interested and become players are people of varied educational standards and levels. And once you come into that fold, we are very much interested in your progression. And so at whatever level that you are, we ensure that you progress. So if you come at the level of JHS, we are interested in making sure that you progress to the secondary level. And after the secondary level, if you are interested in the tertiary, the church has a scholarship scheme that if you qualify, or if all goes well, you can progress to that level. There are many people who have also even progressed from the educational level to employment level, where there are many who are in the security agencies now because of the IPC volleyball team. You can name it the police, the security agencies.
So then you are taking me to one of the E's, which
Yes.
is employment.
Yes.
So you are saying that through membership of the church, membership of the volleyball club,
Yes.
there's a likelihood of getting employed
Yes.
in the security services.
Yes.
Because of volleyball.
Because of volleyball.
How has it happened, and how many of your people have had such opportunities?
Since 2002, it's uncountable.
I see.
Because, because we participate in the Greater Accra Volleyball League, we play with all these security agencies. Name it, the armed forces, the Air Force, and the police, immigration, and and so when they come and play, we play with them, and they come and play even in our church. As they play, they are able to scout from amongst our players those who they will need.
I see.
And once you are able to get them like that, we agree with them, and they are absorbed into the security agency.
And they have to meet the other requirements of entering the security services. But then this is more like another conduit you can go through.
And that's why their education is of paramountcy to us, so that it will be easy.
And then I see also empowerment.
Yes.
How do you do that?
So apart from the formal job that we encourage people to get through the IPC, people may also be interested in other skill jobs. And so we will facilitate that so that you can also get something for yourself and concentrate on that. The empowerment also comes in the area where we empower them to be self-aware of themselves, have integrity, and be able to stand the challenges that comes not only belonging to a team, but personal lives. And so that is the area where the empowerment also comes in.
We may have drank the soup.
Yes.
Without, forgetting that the food is there to be eaten. But tell me, how did this whole concept of a volleyball club, come to be part of the church's activities?
So in 2002, some young people in the church came together and thought that, as I have said, there are Medina Emmanuel Presby is situated in the Medina Township, an environment where we have so many young people, and many a times, young people spend their times in doing many things that, if you don't manage it very well, can be detrimental to society.
That's true.
So as part of the church's mandate and the church's heart to get many young people into the fold of Christ, the young people in 2002 decided to start this IPC volleyball team. And so in 2002, it started with some young people, and it has grown over the years. We have had many people. One interesting aspect is that we don't just even train adult players. We have young people, 10 years, 12 years, who we are grooming to take over from the main team. Because we realize that once they start moving out to other teams, you may need to get more people to replace them. And so we are doing that. So from 2002, that is what we have been doing.
I don't find the Presbyterian Church to be a church that does not accept new things.
Yeah.
We say we are a reforming church.
Yes.
But sometimes too, you agree with me that when new things come up, there's a bit of resistance.
Yes.
Not everyone will accept it immediately.
Yes.
How was the implementation like? Did the church leadership or session embrace it immediately? Or I just want to know, how were you able to convince the church to accept what you would say is not really directly related to its mandate?
So in the Presbyterian Church, as we all know, anything that begins, you must be able to convince authority why it is important for it to be adopted. And so once it started and the church authority began to see its impact, it is interesting when we have a match day, especially on Sunday, and you come and the whole place is filled with young people watching, singing, dancing, and it's beautiful. And so the church began to see that this team was making impact in the sense that it was keeping the young people, it was keeping them focused, and it was bringing even those who were not in the church to the church. And so then the church decided that we must then adopt it as part of the church's structure, so that many more can come to the fore.
You're going to tell us more when we come back from the break. We go for a short break, we'll come back and the show continues. Welcome back. Before the break, Mr. Ofer was telling me how the church accepted the whole concept of having a volleyball team and how they've run it from that period till now, 22 years on. It is not easy to have such a sports team on its grounds if you know what it takes to run a sports team. So how have you done it? I mean, before this show, I came to watch one of your training sessions. In terms of kitting, in terms of organization, in terms of making sure that this team is on its feet and runs as a team should be run, how has the story been like?
It's not been an easy journey at all. Even though the church embraces it, loves what is happening and is so willing to support in many ways, you know that the church has so many things that it does at a go.
Yes.
And so we have, through the magnanimity of some church members and individuals who support the team, whether with kits, whether with the balls, and some of the team members are even accommodated by these individuals within the church fold. So support has mainly been coming from some individuals within the church and the church itself when it has the means to support. And interestingly, it is not only a male team that we are talking about. We have also a female team. And so the support has been enormous by individuals. The church does it best, but I think that it's time that we call on many to come and support, because you are not only supporting a sports team, you are supporting an agenda to bring many to the full knowledge of Christ. And interestingly, if you become a new member, you are also taken through our newcomers class in the church. So for many who may have come in and not accepted Christ, the opportunity is given to them. They are taken through our newcomers class, and then from there they become full members of the church. And so the church is contributing, apart from the finance and other logistics, in shaping the individuals who become members of the team, so that when they represent us, whether in any other team or in any security institution, like you read in Daniel, the integrity is there. They conform to the tenets of the Lord Jesus Christ and not of the world. So the support has been massive, but mostly from individual members of the church and from the church itself.
I mean, if the individual members of the church who have been supporting this volleyball team at Emmanuel Presby are watching us, please give them more. Because there is more they can achieve if they have the right support. But, you know, I want to know the success stories, you know, maybe before we look at the challenges. I know where your church is situated, right at the heart of Medina. Medina is densely populated with, let's say, a lot of Muslim population. How is the reception? Is there the case where you have had, let's say, converts, people of the Islamic religion turning to Christianity through volleyball and through the work you are doing at the church?
It's been massive. We are talking about 22 years of existence. And so you have even people who profess to be Christians who come in, and at the end of the day, after going through the study and the process, you realize that they reconsider what they thought they were, and now accept Christ proper.
They are now, their
they
faith
are
is
now
deepened
rooted.
by. Okay.
Yes, and there are others too who would not be Christians at all, Muslim, or even not belong to any religion, that over the years, once they come into the fold, we are able to help them to become Christians. Indeed, as I indicated earlier, for the many of the people who have joined the IPC volleyball team, they have been able to have opportunities to join a lot of the security agencies to represent them in their volleyball. And that is what even pulls a lot of the young people, apart from their love for the game, that if you become a member, if you are disciplined, if you stay within the confines of what the church teaches, there is room for you to grow. And growth not only even in joining any agency, as I said, the skill training that we give to some of them, and the education that we help and we promote, many of them have excelled. Some are even outside the country as we speak. And so, Jerome, it's been a very, very good, though challenging, but a very good journey that I think the church is very proud of what has become of the IPC volleyball team.
I mean, going through your documents,
Yes.
there's one that I find very interesting: community engagement and outreach.
Yes.
So, what do you do exactly with the community engagement? Do you visit homes? Do you have cell meetings? Do you have, let's say, group interactions? And how is it done? You see, I'm asking this because at the end of the day,
Yes.
it is not just having people playing volleyball and
Yes.
sharing fun and excitement,
Yes.
but also learning something new. So in your community engagements, exactly what do you do?
Okay. And so, as a team, and even within the church fold, we belong to the wider community of Medina.
Okay.
And so, anytime there is a community event that needs the young people within our church to be part of, to contribute their quota, the team is always available to give themselves up for community service. And that is one of the most important things that we do. In community engagement, we always announce to the community that it is just not a team, it is a family.
Okay.
A family that fosters development, both of the individual and of the community. And so when we meet and you come, we have different shades of people.
Yeah.
When they come, by the time they stay with us for a very long time, either as spectators or as team members, you'd realize that there is a particular change in mindset, change in attitude. There is that unity of purpose that exists between the Medina Emmanuel Church, the team, and the community. And it's a beautiful thing. And so through our community engagement, the community service that we render, that is the bond that we have had to bring to the Medina community as a whole.
I'm still looking at your document,
Yes.
and I mean, I'm a very passionate person when it comes to organization and structure.
Yes, yes.
And one of the things I find about your organizational structure is how it's set up. So this is a football team. I don't know why I keep saying football. Forgive me, I'm a football person, but here we are talking about volleyball.
Yes.
So this is a volleyball club, and the minister in charge of the church sits at the top.
Yes.
We have session, we have missions and evangelism committee.
Yes.
My presumption is that this volleyball club,
Yes.
it's more operational under the evangelism team, right?
Yes, under the evangelism department.
And then you have a sports committee,
Yes.
and then the club management actually comes in.
Yes.
Now this is the interesting part: marketing and media.
Yes.
Why would you even consider this?
Yes. And so when we began, we were talking about why volleyball instead of evangelism. So as I indicated to you, this is something that the church is doing, and it's imparting a community and impacting young people. But how do people hear of this success story? How do people replicate it within their communities and within their churches? And that is where the media aspect of it comes to play, so that the success story is shared, so that the young man in that church, Presbyterian, Methodist, or any church within the village, knows that he or she can also be very useful to church, to community, and to the Lord through games, not through only evangelism, through any other game. And if Medina is doing it, then they can also do it. The aspect of marketing is that maintaining the team to be relevant and to be good is very expensive.
Yeah.
There are kids keeping the players very well and giving them some small stipends and allowances,
Yeah.
even when it comes to sometimes paying school fees and taking them through the skills development. It's very
Even their
expensive.
medical bills.
Their
I mean,
medical
health.
bills,
Their players,
health-wise,
they'll be-
their accommodation
Yeah.
that we provide and all that is quite expensive.
Okay.
And so that is the aspect where we want to then appeal to both corporate Ghana and to even individuals and Christians who are interested in and seeing that this particular mission of winning more young people, developing more young people through sports comes to play. And so that is where the marketing comes in.
Okay. The conversation is getting very exciting, but we have to go for a break. When we come back, the show continues. Welcome back. I'm still looking at the structure of the IPC volleyball team, and like I'm saying, as someone who likes organizational and leadership studies, I find it very interesting that you have marketing and media. There's also legal. Then I see the technical team. That one doesn't surprise me. But very interesting is the alumnus. And then financial committee, coaches, general captain, and players. So the vision is what? You could just put up a team and run it.
Yeah.
But why would you put or document some of these things?
You know, Jerome, there is this notion that Christians sometimes, when it comes to our way of doing things, we do things haphazard, with just faith in mind, without really thinking through, planning, and
It's
preparing.
not even true.
It's not true,
Yes.
but that is the notion.
Yeah, I agree.
So in IPC volleyball team and as a church, we said, let us put a structure there that would ensure that the team will live on beyond what we can even imagine. You see, it is important that to know that without structure, the team will not go far.
Yeah.
Structure brings accountability.
Exactly.
And that is what many people sometimes do not want to fall in. And so we brought this structure to ensure that there is accountability right from the minister in charge to session. So everything that the team does, with the questions they must ask themselves, does it fall within the framework of the church? Will the church endorse it? If the church will not endorse it, then it doesn't even come to session in the first place.
Exactly.
And so the structure is supposed to bring accountability, continuity of this purpose. Because 22 years,
It's
if
not
for
easy.
any organization, would have collapsed.
I mean, if you had a child in 2002, by now he's finished university.
He's finished university.
Yeah.
And so the structure, as we have said, is supposed to bring some continuity, some accountability, discipline, so that people know that they report to a higher authority. And I'll take this opportunity to advise any organization or church that may want to adopt this concept, is that one of the first things you should do is to put down the structure. The structure will ensure that anyone coming in, whether as sponsor, whether as player, coach, anyone will know that this is the structure. And if I cannot go by the structure, I do not become part of it.
In fact, the Presbyterian Church, as we know, is a very disciplined church. There's a lot of order in the church.
Yes.
So if there's anything you want to do within the church or with the church in mind, you must be disciplined and very orderly.
Yes.
But, I mean, if you've done a lot of sports like I have done, you will know that it comes with a lot of challenges.
A lot,
What are some of the challenges you've been facing? How do you intend to address them, or how have you addressed them? And out there, if there is anything you would want to share with those watching us, Presbyterians watching us, non-Presbyterians watching us, what kind of support would you expect that they give this team?
So the challenge, basically, I'll put it in these categories: the infrastructure, then maybe player welfare, and then the branding aspect of the work.
So let's start with
The
infrastructure.
So currently we have our courts, at Medina Standard Court that we used to play.
I have visited there, and
yes,
it's
but
quite
it
decent.
needs rehabilitation immediately, so that it can be an international standard.
Yeah.
If it must be done, it must be done
well.
very well.
Yes.
And so now we are calling on any organization or individual that wants to come and help us rehabilitate the court. I mean, with painting, resurfacing, and all that. And so once the person gets in touch with us, we will let the person know.
Then you mentioned player welfare.
Yes, player welfare, as I indicated, we have to accommodate some of the players, because if they need to stay together and disciplined, they must be collated at a place.
Put in a structured environment.
In a structured environment. And then apart from that, their stipends, their medical and all that is very important that we take care of it. And as I said, individuals are doing it. But then if we get it in a more formalized way, as in sponsorship and the rest, we think it can be done very well. Yeah. And then the final one, if I may, is the branding aspect of it, where jerseys, the kits, and everything that is needed to make sure that when they stand out there, they represent the brand, the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, very, very well. Yes. And so that is the aspect that we will call on corporate Ghana to also, and even the individual Christians to come in and to come and help. But there is the final one that I want to add, is also our spectators. You know, when during a typical Sunday match, we are not just interested in people coming there and support. We also think about the very soul that is within them. And so going forward, what we want to do is a strategy that we want to use to engage the people who come to support.
So like a soul-winning strategy.
So a soul-winning agenda. And we want to do it so well that pre-match, post-match, the pre-match, we will have some very beautiful, melodious Christian songs going. Then our evangelism team will be sharing the tracks and be talking to individuals. Post-match, afterwards, we'll do same. And even when there is break, there are questions that we would want to ask people.
Yeah, of course.
That this is the first half. Have you considered the first half of your life?
Great.
Teams are going to re-strategize and come back. Are you re-strategizing in the next half of your life? So these are strategies that we would want to bring on board to ensure that anyone that comes goes home with something.
You know, we have to continue this conversation. And I can assure you that next week we will continue with the IPC volleyball team. And if you are a church out there, especially a Presbyterian Church of Ghana congregation, Pcgtv Sports is throwing this invitation to you. If you have a sports team, if you are having your health week activities or any sporting activity within the church which you think should feature on this channel, you are always welcome. Here we say, in thy light, there is light. See you next week.